Mm-hmm.
This is my ghost move. If you look at me, I have to stop. Look away.
A little baby boo. Joe's used to ghosts like
Um,
that, all the ladies ghosting him. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Break Your Position.
Something on your screen?
Lifelong friends are living out the dreams in the comfort of the chairs. I am Aaron, the host. Go Braves!
Aaron seems to be in a good mood. I am Joe, the groundskeeper. Give him the high, stinky cheddar.
I am Jaylee the Rover. I wish we could show you the text chat before the Braves won. You might think otherwise. Cooney had some choice words for the umps, but that's no here nor there.
I
Go
was
Phillies.
appalled.
Yeah. I'm Corey Statman, and I'm surprised you still said 4 lifelong friends based on the conversation immediately preceding the beginning of this episode.
Forgive
It's
and
true.
forget. I'm kind of
Ah,
paid to do that. So
I suppose so. If you weren't paid, though, you would not
It
forgive
wouldn't
or
happen.
forget.
This would be a 2-man pod. Me and Jared hanging out.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. So Rakers, this is new territory for us. Our first postseason, going through this with you guys, and so we're mixing up our format a little bit during this part of the season. We're trying to get them in as fast as we can to talk about all the awesome action that's been going on. And so tonight we're going to jump right in and kind of recap the wild cards. So Corey, remind everybody and us, because some of us may have forgotten, what were our wild card predictions?
Mainly Joe forgot.
I mean,
Oh, I got it.
I also forgot. Okay, Joe, who did you have? And you do. Okay, never mind. So Blue Jays at Twins. All the wild cards were 2-0, so it was pretty anticlimactic as far as they created this additional series in order to try and be a little bit more dramatic. But starting off with the Blue Jays at Twins, Twins. Let me see what my notes were.
High five, Joe.
Oh yeah, Twins was Joe and Aaron. Jared and I picked the Blue
Oh.
Jays. D-backs at Brewers. Jared and Aaron took the D-backs, so now Aaron's 2-0.
That's it.
Rangers at Rays. Hey, you know who took the Rangers because I thought the Rays were bad? I did.
Yeah,
And you know what team looked pretty bad? The Rays. And finally, Marlins at Phillies. Three of us, besides Aaron, took the Phillies, and I think they
Lol.
handled the Marlins pretty easily. But we can talk a little bit more about those if we want to start off with. Well, let's not start off with the Blue Jays at Twins because I have the most thoughts on that one, so we could save that. We can start off because I think there were two of these were, I think, more lopsided than the others, even though everybody that lost all their games. I think the Rangers at Rays, the Rays looked bad. They didn't do anything good. Tyler Glasnow was good. Rest of the Rays bad. That was the end of my notes. The
I
Rangers
mean,
were good.
yeah. I mean, I can't stop that from being said. We all saw the results of the games, but I'll still say this: you still won 99 games and made the playoffs, so you were good at some point. That's my pep
They
talk
got
for next
99
year.
wins, but not a playoff one.
Hmm.
Of all the series, that's the one I thought would probably be the closest. And it's not surprising to me that Texas won. They definitely had a stacked offense all year. And, they picked up some pitching at the deadline. I don't know really how much that did for them in this particular series. But, now they're up. Oh, I guess we won't get into the DS yet. But, yeah, that one wasn't super surprising to me. I almost went Rangers in my predictions, but messed up, went Rays.
I believe in our text chat in regards to their pitching pickups, you said Montgomery Lowell, and then in the next game you said Evaldi Omega Lowell. So that's kind of how you felt about their pitching.
Well, when you're going 7 strong, like no runs, I mean, that is a little bit of a lull for those two guys. But hey, they're gonna. I mean, Montgomery he's pitching himself into like 200 mil right now.
It really is. He's going to be one of the better options if he has a deep postseason run. Well, all these guys are dealing with injuries. Yeah, the thing for the Rays was I thought the Rays would win best out of 3. Like, I thought it'd be a competitive series. But they were just like they couldn't even catch and throw. Like they weren't doing the little things well. It's one thing like if they just don't hit for a day, whatever, because they don't have the deepest lineup. But they just weren't doing anything well. They looked like a team that had no chance of being there and got kind of embarrassed.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know that there's much more to say about that, but if anybody has any thoughts, or we can move on to
Well, I mean, this will play a little bit into the Arizona series as well, but I was surprised that 2 away teams won. You know, I was an idiot and I didn't realize the wild card rules, which Cooney filled me in on, and they've been a part of the game for like 3 or so years now. But so yeah, Texas taking it as the away team. That was surprising to me. I had all the home teams winning, I believe.
I mean, did you just black it out from last year? It happened to the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot the
Philly
the home-
came in and won both games, and that was it.
Yeah, I just
I also-
forgot the all games at one stadium.
I also don't know that there's much of a home field advantage when the Rays are concerned.
That's true.
Yeah, that's sad. That's we're gonna talk probably the offseason about new stadiums and expansion and all that. So that'll come up. But those attempts by the fans, like I get the first game, maybe, you have 24 hours by the time you figure out what time the game's actually going to be played to buy your tickets. But still, setting playoff record lows is kind of embarrassing for a 99 win team.
Very.
Yeah.
And Joe, you mentioned the Diamondbacks, so just segue right into that series. We were split 2-2. Me and Jared had Diamondbacks. Corey and Joe had Brewers. And they were good games. They weren't lopsided. Mm-hmm. Diamondbacks came out on top both times. So, Joe, continue conversation there about the Diamondbacks and Brewers series.
Yeah, I think I went with I mean, I don't like either team really, but
Yeah, you said that.
We're well aware.
And I think when we got to the World Series picks, I took the Diamondbacks, which I had losing. But I took the Brewers because of pitching, mostly kind of back end pitching. And you wonder what happens if Woodruff's able to make a start, but everybody's dealing with injuries. You can't blame that. And Arizona got a young team playing good, playing hard.
Yeah, Snake's young and good. Longo's old and good and looks good is the first point that I wanted to bring up in here. You just always been a nice looking fella. If we ever want to do like an offshoot of.
Did you see him and Walker side by side? Like it's like the same guy. They both shaved their heads, both got the beard.
Maybe I need to give Christian Walker a little bit more credit.
Yeah, both stout fellas.
There was like a Devin Williams. Devin Williams did give up some runs in this series. And then I when I was watching highlights, I did want to point this out that Milwaukee did have the bases loaded and no outs at one point and did not score any runs. So I know we all love that. Then the other fun fact, because I saw Milwaukee bunted at least twice, but every team that bunted in the wild card series lost. So back to your appreciate it, reinstate.
Because they're not good at it.
What a stat poll there. Nice.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. It's probably Codify, I bet,
yeah.
But that's all I need to know. It's just people on Twitter. I'll bring to the pod and make myself look smart.
That's right.
What
do you got, Jared, on that series?
I mean, I think case in point of the Diamondbacks were, I think, started out hot, then got kind of flat there, and then just, I think, barely snuck in the playoffs. But I mean, once you're in, nothing else matters. Corbin Carroll's playing like a guy that's played this game for about 7 to 8 years now. Moreno, I mean, that dude hit all of the wild card series. Christian Walker's coming around. The bottom part of their lineup is iffy, but I mean, our boy Tommy Pham's hitting too. You love to see it. So, and then, I mean, they got a solid 1-2 punch, as you know, in Gallon and Kelly. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see this train keep rolling. We'll see what happens. I mean, the Dodgers, you know, they can always be a comeback team, but we'll see.
Yeah, Arizona, we know got the two guys, and they've been looking for a third. Fott started game one, and it could have got ugly real fast. I think didn't the Brewers score multiple runs like 3 or 4 innings in?
Yeah, 3 runs.
And the Diamondbacks came back, and so he kept it close. And so now that he's got that first one out under his belt, maybe because his next start's going to be against the Dodgers, which is going to be a little different playoff atmosphere. But yeah, the Diamondbacks are a lot of fun to watch, and right now they're sticking it to the Dodgers in the DS. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but they're hot. The hot hand
Eats.
There you go.
We can stick
The
in
hot
the
hand's
NL
not
here.
cold. Oh,
Speaking of eating, I like to
And we
eat
can-
some
oh, it's time for our sponsor.
some
Yeah.
fish.
Okay,
Sometimes
sure,
I
yeah.
catch
Some
marlin.
fish. Some people from
Yeah,
Philadelphia eat some
Marlins are
fish.
yummy.
I mean, Philly's got that bad man with great t-shirt, great hair, great beard.
All
Repping
of
Allen
them.
Iverson, yeah. But they seem like they had no problem in Miami, and I think their pitching has underperformed in the regular season so far this year, and kind of showed up in the playoffs so far. Starting pitching, especially, I think even into the next round a little bit, but yeah, not much of a. Didn't seem like the Marlins had much of a chance here. Jared, how do you feel about it?
Oh, go ahead.
Aaron, Jared,
Aaron, go ahead.
Jared.
Well, I've been high on the Marlins, so I was going to sneak in there real quick. It was cool to see them in there, and I really hope they continue to build off this and don't settle with this new owner and and the new GM that we've been talking about. Because they made good moves at the deadline. You know, if Sandy's healthy, he's going to be getting one of those 2 starts. Although their starters did okay, not the greatest, but yeah, he throws Sandy back in that rotation. And, you know, 2 years ago, they had the rookie of the year, Trevor Rogers. He's been hurt. So, I mean, they still, like, next year, all of a sudden, they could have, well, I guess Sandy will be out, but they'll still have a great rotation if they can keep that lineup together. But, yeah, they're fun to watch this season, but you could tell they were clearly overmatched in the postseason picture, which I think you're going to see a lot of with these extra wild cards. There's going to be teams that sneak in there because somebody has to get in there, and it's not going to be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Their best move was getting their Skip, right, Skip?
Right.
Nice. And you talk about that
Speaking of
bad
that.
man. I mean, you're all talking about Bryce Harper, but I mean, Bryson Stott, dude, he's showing up.
Yeah.
And we all know the bad man on that team is their leadoff guy, Kyle Schwarber. Like, of all the people we've talked about potentially wanting to get on this podcast, he might be at the top of my list. That guy would be a lot of fun.
I feel like if we just talking about Kyle Schwarber, like the thing that I see the most about him is like how much people love playing with him. Like it seems like everywhere he goes, like people just talk about how great of a guy he is and how great of a locker room guy he is, and so yeah, I mean it does. I think you could have some good conversations, and yeah, I agree. Seems like a cool dude.
Honestly, it's everybody on the Phillies. Like, seriously, if the Phillies weren't in the NL East, they might be my second favorite team, but I hate them so much. And they're all such fun guys to root for. They all play hard. You can tell they just have fun and enjoy being there, and you never hear anything bad about any of those guys.
It was kind of crazy about their
Those
lineup.
guys-
They're having Baum bat third, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, against
but,
the lefty, yeah.
I mean, it's working for sure.
Playing well, yeah.
With guys like Schwarber and how the league's going, we might have to change from you hit, you play to you hit bombs, you play. I mean, under 200, but Sammy
Don't matter if
Rod,
you hit it
right,
out.
Cooney?
He's the 3 true outcomes, man. K's, homers, and walks.
That's right.
Yeah.
This was the series I had the most lopsided easily. I outside of Sandy, I can name like 1.5 guys on the Marlins.
Who's the
And,
half?
I mean,
Jazz
that
Chisholm
real
played half the year.
that real tiny dude that comes out of the pen. But so I wasn't really at all surprised by that. I think I had the Phillies as my World Series pick, and they blew it tonight. But I think they travel to Philly here coming up.
Then the last wild card series was the Blue Jays at Twins. I thought this was the most interesting one, kind of looking back on it. The Blue Jays actually led both games in hits, and they had a lot, obviously because they had more hits, they had a lot of traffic on the bases. And I don't know if it was
How
the
many
Blue
runs
Jays.
did they have? How many runs?
Well, less than the Twins. I don't know off the top of my head anymore, but
They had 1 run in 2 games.
I don't know if it was they were bad at getting runners in or the Twins were good at getting out of jams. In the second game, they pulled Barrios. Barrios? I never know. Barrios? Okay.
Rios, I think.
Go with what you want.
Yeah. In the third inning, a 0-0 score to bring in Kikuchi, who immediately gave up the lead. And it's just like you see those weird pitching moves a lot of times in the playoffs, and I don't know what it is, but and it's again if it works, we're not having this conversation. But it's the spreadsheets,
The script.
Analytics.
the script. But
Yeah, that was predetermined, obviously, before. Like, he's not going to face the lineup a third time.
And it just, I don't like it. Like it because it seemed like with Joe Madden, especially, like there was a lot of pulling starters early, or like pulling starters when it seemed like they still had some gas. And like if they got a guy on first, like in the 6th inning, it's like, oh well, he's coming out, and it's like, well, I don't know. I didn't like it. I do want to talk about the pickoff play, but if you guys want to talk about kind of just the series as a whole a little bit before we do that, I'd like to open the floor to you.
Mine's pretty short. It was nice to see Minnesota break the drought, and I know when we were talking last time, I had done extensive amounts of research and saw that Brandon Belt was Toronto's best hitter, which made me immediately pick the Twins. So I got that one right.
That's right. I picked them basically all the short series because Lopez and Gray are both going to get starts, and we see what they've been doing all year. In a longer series, they got Phil and Bailey Ober and other guys, they're more susceptible. But with those 2 guys and Carlos Correa postseason mode, the dude's a beast in the postseason. Whatever he just became the 3rd all-time postseason RBI guy. He's tied with David Justice right now with 63 postseason RBIs, which is 3rd all-time. Yeah, which is crazy.
Wait a minute.
I mean, you got to be there a lot, but
Oh no, sorry. I thought I heard a trash can going off.
Yeah,
sorry.
You got to be there a lot to do that, and obviously some other extenuating circumstances, but
allegedly,
but he plays well.
Yeah. Going back to the pitching thing real quick, because that's all I really got about the series is I think it was just super disappointing by the Blue Jays, but going back to what Cooney said about you're not going to face the lineup a third time, but I didn't watch the game, but he was dealing, right? He didn't give up any runs or anything.
Mm-hmm. 1 hit,
he was doing pretty good.
Or 1 runner.
So what inclines
there was a
you
guy
to
on
think,
base when he came out?
Like I think that just in itself proves that keep him out there. Like that's the move. Those are the moves that I hate. Like it's different if your guys.
Pull the box score right now: 3 innings, 3 hits, 5 Ks.
Yeah,
and then he left with a guy on who ended up scoring. Kikuchi came in, allowed that run, and another guy to score, and they lost 2-0.
That's insane to me. 3 innings. I mean, that's 9 outs. You've K'd 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like
you should at least be pitching. At least another inning or 2.
Yes. Yeah. It's not like he's an unknown guy that hasn't pitched well. He's had a little bit of his ups and downs, but he's a guy that's been in the league for 8 years now and has been relatively consistent.
Oh man!
And they went to a lefty starter like Kikuchi was going to be in the pen, but to bring him in the middle of a dirty inning, I mean, he's always been a starter, just because he's left-handed. It
Again,
was
I'm
weird.
no manager. I've helped coach JV baseball, but maybe this is my chance to make my case here. Playoffs, I think all of that analytics things. Sorry, Corey, I know you're a numbers guy. You throw it right in the trash can. It's got to be off of feel. If I'm watching my pitcher out there dealing, why in the world am I going to be like, yep, I'm taking him out? Like, it's the playoffs. It's literally like you could potentially only have one more game to play.
Mm-hmm.
Even
they tend to overreact the other way, thinking, I only have one game left. I got to use everybody. And
Yeah, and you don't have to. Save those guys.
because Kikuchi started warming up in like the second inning, and then like Cabrera was warming up too in like the second or third inning. And I think because it was all the lefties. Like it was something with the lefties that was going on, that they didn't want Barrios to face lefties. And so they had Cabrera warming up. They might have had Tim Meza up too, but I know they had Cabrera for sure and Kikuchi warming up. But yeah, especially if it's a dirty inning and somebody's already on base, like I'm going to Cabrera or somebody else, because it's not like those guys weren't warming up. But yeah.
And do you know who was batting? Because like the Blue Jays lefties aren't scary. It's not like
the Twins.
No, like sorry, yeah, Twins, yeah. Like who's he coming in to face? Kepler, Kirilloff, maybe.
It
Kepler
wasn't
and Kirilloff
Kirilloff
batting
because
back-to-back.
I think Kirilloff was the guy on base. Was Kepler after him?
Kepler batted fourth, Kirilloff was fifth, and Solano pinched hit. So that may have been when he pinched hit. I don't know.
Because
Just
he
it's
faced
not
the
like
lefty.
okay.
Yeah, I could.
Well,
So it's probably Kepler.
I can get you the answer.
Anyway, it's not like it's Barry Bonds. You got to get a lefty specialist up there.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Whoever it was.
Speaking of getting guys up in the pen, did you guys ever like get somebody up in the pen in one of the old MLB The Shows and then forget about them?
Oh
and
yeah.
then you go back and they're like 13% still warming up in the pen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just stay warm. I
Oh,
might
man.
need you here, bud.
In the newer games, you could put
600
you could
pitches out in the
select
pen.
stay warm. Yeah. In the new games, you can have
Yeah.
them stay up, but they don't throw as often.
Yeah,
Or
there
idiots
was not
like
a
us that
good
do that.
there was not a good hey, your guy's still pitching type of comment in the old ones.
Oh, that's great.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about this was the Sonny Gray pickoff of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at second base, and it was a pretty clutch thing to do at the time. I think the Blue Jays were kind of rallying, and that ended up ending the inning. But I think the most intriguing thing is that the call came from Carlos Correa, and again, kind of talking about playoff Correa. But I guess so. Sonny walked to the dugout. Because Sonny got it from his pitch comm. So I think somebody in the dugout is running the pitch comm. He walks up to the guy, whoever's running the pitch comm. He's like, "Oh, you called that?" And he's like, "Oh no, Carlos called it." So what happened is Carlos realizes that you can't hear, like the guy on second can't hear the base coaches, and so he's like, "Hey, we might have a chance to do this." And I think he sees the opportunity, and he does some sort of communicating to the dugout. Says, "Hey, let's do this back pick." Yeah. Yeah, he's sitting there waving his hat around. And so then the guy who's got the pitch comm in the dugout sees that, relays it to you're gonna have some fun little display here. But no? Okay. And then they get this pick off Vladimir Guerrero. But it's just like appreciating Carlos Correa. Like maybe Carlos Correa is actually good at baseball. Not that anybody really thought he was, but
Cheating helps, but he's good at baseball.
sure. But he is also very good at baseball, I think. So
Mhm.
it's just a really cool thing to see and kind of see how that plays out, and the possibilities, I think, of maybe implementing some more of these things, because there's a different avenue of communication. So I don't know if you guys want to have any additional thoughts or anything like that, but it was I really
It's a
enjoyed
cool
that story.
testament to the Minnesota fans, like to still be that passionate about postseason baseball after 18 years. And it's an outdoor stadium too. So it's not like a dome where it's trapping the noise. And so they're loud enough that
Mhm.
Guerrero cannot hear the third base coach yell back. when Correa sneaks in behind him. That's pretty cool. Like, good for you, fans. Well done.
That out goes to the fans, right?
That's right.
Like in the stat book.
Mm-hmm.
And man,
Yeah, that's right.
I always had fun, with your sneaky plays. I wouldn't really call them trick plays, but anytime you kind of have that non-verbal, what play was that, Cooney?
This is my sneaky play.
Anytime you have like those non-verbal cues or whatever, you already get the message across without the other team knowing, and then it works. That's always super cool. I remember playing catcher one time and picking a guy off first, just with like some stupid signal that we came up with in the dugout. And
Super secret signal. Pick.
Super secret signal.
So
Hey, throw him down.
It's cool to see those things still continue all the way up to the major leagues.
Kikuchi did come in to face Max Kepler. So
Max Kepler.
I think I don't know. I think it was Kirilloff got on first. Kepler came in, beat out an infield single, walked the bases loaded, and Correa got a hit to score one, and then he then gave up a second in the first 12 pitches he'd thrown after Barrios did well. So yeah, bad luck.
Well, maybe after the postseason is done, we'll recap and talk about the format of the playoffs too, because we could talk a lot about the long layoffs for the division winners. We talk about 3 home games for wild card, but it's also going to change with expansion in the next couple of years, which we haven't really talked about yet. But now that Oakland and Tampa are fixed, expansion's going to come. So that's going to change the playoffs all again. So we'll talk about the playoff format afterwards. But it's been a fun wild card, even though all the games only went 2 and done. But that brings us to the DS, and we have predictions for you guys. We locked these predictions in a couple days ago when we were trying to sneak in a recording before the DS started. We couldn't get it done, so we went ahead and put our predictions in, and so we'll see. The Dodgers, as we record this, the Dodgers and D-backs game 2 is going on, and the D-backs, last I saw, were up 3-0. So so a handful of games in every series has happened, but we made these predictions beforehand. So who's going to start us off? Jared, you want to start us off on this? Your predictions?
We do all 4, or we just going around each game and then, or each series?
Let's
throw our
go
predictions
each.
out.
Yeah, let's go each series.
Okay, well, we'll
Okay,
start with
so
the
Corey-
Houston and Twins one.
Yeah, we'll do it like the weekend predictions. Corey set us up, and then we'll go around our circle.
Perfect. Set us up, Corey.
Okay, let's talk about the Rangers at Orioles. And let me tell you guys,
That's not
again,
what I said.
what did you say? You said set us up.
That's not what I wanted to start with, but go ahead. That's
Okay,
fine.
what do you want to start with?
No, it's fine. We're already there.
It's what's at the top of the list. I don't listen. I look at the agenda.
I
That's what I go
know.
by.
You're the one that goes off the agenda. I understand.
I
gotta
can't
look
listen
up what
and
I
read
told
at
you
the
guys.
same time. They're in the agenda.
Oh, you
Coincidentally.
put our answers? You put our answers?
Yeah,
in?
I did.
I've been watching baseball.
I'm feeling pretty good. Again, I'm on that Rangers bandwagon. Choo choo. I'm taking the Rangers in the Rangers at Orioles. That being said, I love the Orioles, but it's a bunch of young kids having their first playoff experience, and the Rangers have guys that have been there, maybe not that played on the Rangers, but guys that have played in the playoffs. So I just think next year, I look at it a lot like the 2015 Cubs, to bring it back to the Cubbies.
Here we
Or 2018 Braves.
Didn't quite get it done, but it was a nice learning experience for the young kids, and then they came back in the next year and won the World Series. So
What about the 1908 Cubs?
I believe the
similarities?
1908 Cubs actually went back to back, so it was a great learning experience because the next year they won again.
So they learned the same lesson twice.
Yeah, and boy, they
They're
loved it.
stupid.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
you got the Rangers? Jared, who you
I've got the Rangers. Yes.
Yeah, I gotta stick with my boys here. mainly because I locked it in before we
I was gonna say you don't have a choice.
picked this. But Baltimore, I'm still confident. Down 2-0. Teams have come back from this before. It's doable. I mean, I was gonna make the case you don't win 100 games for nothing, but Tampa Bay did, so I can't use that argument. But I don't know. I have confidence in this team. I think there's a few veterans that can hopefully rally the troops. Maybe not too many with playoff experience, but I mean, they're a talented enough group if they can just find a way to extend it. I keep forgetting it's only a five game series, so backs against the wall. But Baltimore, lock it in.
Would you say the gloves are off?
Yeah, and they hit it below the belt.
Yeah, well, I had Baltimore winning as well. Why did I have that? Not real sure why I had that, but it's not looking good. So they go to Texas now, right? Texas has got to take one of two at home.
Sure do.
So I mean, Baltimore. I'm kind of looking at this as once my team is statistically out. So once April ended, and I had to just start looking forward to I go like underdog usually in everything. So, as I look up, and payrolls don't mean everything, but Baltimore is 28th out of 30 teams in payroll at 71 million. Texas is number 4 at 251 million. So,
How much of that's on the IL though?
Well, Seager and
200
Simeon are
million.
making as much
Yeah.
as the entire Baltimore team. So, and they're
Exactly.
two
I
MVP
mean-
candidates.
Woof.
and I mean, Baltimore was the number 1 seed, so it's not
Mhm.
crazy to go with them, but I still consider them the underdog with that disparity there. But I don't know what the stats are of teams coming back from 2-0 and a best of 3 going to the away team stadium, but it's probably not good. So we'll see. We'll see if the young guys can pony up for 3 in a row. I don't think they have the pitching to do that, but
Mm.
good luck.
Yeah, Jared, you said it can happen that 0-2 teams come back and win these. What if I predicted 2 teams that are both 0-2? That's the question. Can both of them do it? Because this is one of the series. I had Baltimore as well. They're down 0-2, and it's not looking good. But we'll see.
Gonna make a great story though.
Yeah, it is.
And you can play longtime Baltimore Oriole Nick Markakis as a
Ooh,
fan in the stands.
Yeah,
we can make a low budget film. At least we got one. person
we
who looks like
need
one of them.
we need to get Jared to Camden Yards and just see what happens. For
I mean,
any
we were-
audio
we were in
audio
Atlanta.
listeners, any audio listeners, check out Jared. He has been mistaken for Nick Markakis multiple times, and we were in Atlanta at a Braves game at Top Golf outside of the stadium, and the owner thought he was Nick Markakis. So then that begs the question: who are Joe and I? Because
My,
Joe's short and
Joe's
I'm
my
not
accountant, and
buff. So we're not bodyguards.
Aaron's my long lost friend.
Thanks, man.
I've unfortunately got Chris Kattan like 3 or 4 times. So,
Dude, I just saw Chris. I just saw Chris Saturday. Said hi, dude.
Before we move on from that
young,
Nick Markakis
young
thing,
Chris Kattan.
Oh yeah. You don't look like old Chris Kattan. Sorry, Chris.
the thing about that story too is I'm sure they would have had to meet him at some point before, but it definitely didn't seem like it. And 2,
No,
the biggest giveaway of this, I was wearing a St. Louis Cardinals hat. Why would Nick Markakis be wearing a St. Louis Cardinals hat?
dude, it was crazy. He was dead set. We told the people at the front. We made a joke with him, the hostess, that no, he's not Nick Markakis. And the owner like comes out, man, so good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Joe and I are like standing here, like he didn't even acknowledge me and Joe. Look, we're just standing.
Didn't get any special treatment, that's for sure.
No, we didn't get for free either. I guess Nick Markakis could
rude.
pay, but
Yeah.
All right, so back to
Sorry for that
Baltimore.
sidetrack.
All right, what's the next series, Corey?
Next series is the Twins at the Astros.
Who's Space City?
That doesn't say Astros.
Houston. We don't have a problem at all.
Is that where Elon lives?
It doesn't
I
say
don't-
Houston,
I don't
Corey.
know.
It just says Space
Yep.
City.
Yeah.
but
I don't get it.
you know the things they say when you're in the spaceship. They go, Houston, everything's going great, and we're doing awesome. That's the famous line.
And Jordan hit
Um,
ball long way.
Yeah,
From
I see
what,
that a
from
lot
what
on
movie?
Jordan hit ball to space.
From
Yeah.
what movie?
Apollo 24.
Nice.
Twins at Ash. Nope. Yes, Twins at Astros. That's where we're at. I was like, that's the wrong one. Here we are. I'm taking the Astros. My reasoning is mostly because not the Twins, which is a pretty poor reason. But I just think the Astros pick the guys who have been there and done that. And
Not that many
Altuve.
haven't been there.
Altuve's still there, doing great. I mean, they their whole pitching staff, like Framber. I don't know what he's done so far.
I guess they've been there.
They won last year. Like there's a lot of people on that team that were there last year. So anyway, I guess Framber did not do so good yesterday, but that was going to be who I was going to talk about if we talked about this before these games happened. So I don't have any other ammunition, but I'm taking the Astros, and not just because Ben keeps giving me Astros gear.
Yes, it is.
I love the shirt, but
It is one of the best City Connect shirts.
yeah,
Beautiful shirt.
the hat.
Eh.
I
Well-
had.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead, Joe.
I'll
Skip
go.
Jared. See what happens.
Oh, is there an actual order?
Dude, this has been the order
For 27 episodes.
for 27 episodes.
All right, my
brother.
bad. Go ahead.
It's in the agenda. No, I think that should be a shirt. It's in the agenda. But
we'll get
I mean,
on it.
we all know who I'm picking here. It's not ever a doubt. If anybody who's lined up against the Astros, I'm taking the opposite team. But really for this time, because now I think it's kind of funny, maybe Carlos Correa is cheating against the Astros. Did we ever think about that? Maybe he's
Like
bringing
he's
his
banging on his metal ankle.
his cheating ways to the Minnesota team, using it against them. Ever think about that?
Could work. Might be working.
So, yeah, that's all I got. That's all I really want to say about that. Go Twins.
Me.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we wanted to skip me there for a second, but so I picked the Astros. I wish I would have went with the Twins since it's tied 1-1. Can I switch?
No.
What'd your text say?
I mean, obviously Astros. I guess that's who I locked
Yeah,
in with.
that's what you got to go with.
I mean, Astros is kind of like, Rick Ross. All they do is win. I mean, we all want them to lose, right? But they don't. They just keep winning. But I dug a little deeper here into stats in the last 30 to 45 seconds, and I like what I see with Minnesota. So, I guess in my head I'll switch to them, but on paper I'll still be with Houston. We'll see what happens. Houston,
That's
about
a good move.
about 80 million more in payroll, so that's like 2 superstars. So Minnesota, the underdog there again. I hope they win.
On paper is the only pick that matters, but go ahead.
Well, on paper, I picked the Astros as well.
Oof.
Jordan Altuve, man, and Verlander. Guys that have been there and done that, as Corey has said. I agree. They just they seem to take a different level in the playoffs. So I've heard it said too, like if you've watched that Jeter documentary, Jeter talked about how hard it was for those Yankees after they'd won multiple World Series to keep it 100% throughout the next season. They almost had to wait to the playoffs to get their adrenaline going again. And so I'm wondering if you kind of see that with this Astros team too, because their season was kind of ho-hum, but we all expect them to dominate the playoffs because that's where they just know they're going to be in the playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the World Series again.
Boo.
I wouldn't either. Because last year they won the World Series. The year before that they were in the World Series. The year before that they were in the ALCS. The year before that they lost the World Series. So now we're in 2018. They lost the ALCS. 2017, they won the World Series. So 2017 to 2022, which is 6 seasons, they went to the CS for 6 straight years.
Pretty good. Been in the World Series how many times? 3? 4.
They've lost twice and won twice.
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Speaking of shirts, not making any promises or anything about shirts that have to do with our podcast, but again, if anybody wants to write an actual worded review in Apple Podcasts, you need to also then send us an email so we know how to send something to you. Because I didn't realize when I said that last time, if somebody writes a review, I don't know where you live based on that review. But if you write a review and send us an email and say, hey, I wrote this review for you guys.
Joe will send that card that's sitting back there signed by Mr.
Tom Pagnozzi. I definitely could throw this in as part of the goodie bag.
And that's worth at least 10 grand minimum.
Yeah, everybody wants.
The starting bid is at 10 grand, but you could have it for free just by giving us a review.
Pagnozzi. Yeah, that's a 10 grand review. I did also I don't think you can write reviews on Spotify. Probably the best place to do it would be Apple Podcasts, which I believe most of the people who listen to the podcast listen on Apple Podcasts. So you just go in there and go to our show. Rate it, review it.
Rate it, review it. Text us. Say us how much you like it. Say us how much you hate it. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So our email, in order to, again, get your stuff, rakeyourposition@gmail.com. Write a review, send an email, get something.
You get the card.
Yeah.
And or something from us.
Yeah. I was going to try and actually figure out, it looks like, well, it's 50% of people who listen to it on Apple Podcasts, but that's still most of it. Anyway, just a little refresher. Write us a review. It probably helps us. I don't really know. Nobody's written us a review, so I don't know how much it helps us, but it probably helps some.
I wouldn't say it hurt.
That's true.
Wouldn't hurt.
If it's a 1-star review, it might, but
hey,
that'll hurt.
Any publicity is good publicity, right? Even
that's
if
true.
it's a half
That's
star.
true.
I don't know.
Yeah, give us a 5-star rating and then tell us about all the things we're bad at in the written review.
Perfect. I like that. That's a fair trade-off.
But anyway, let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming, and we are going to next take it to the NL West. Talk about the D-backs at Dodgers, which the second game of that series is happening right now. Again, I took the Dodgers. So the D-backs obviously won 2 games against the Brewers, but I also thought the Brewers looked pretty terrible in those 2 games. So I thought it, didn't have a lot of faith in the Diamondbacks. I might be eating those words. I'm hoping for a Braves-like comeback from the Los Angeles Dodgers today. But it's just, again, I think of them a lot like I think about the Orioles of the young guys, which they do have some guys that have been around. Longoria certainly is probably a very helpful presence in that locker room. Christian Walker hasn't been in the playoffs, but he's been a guy that's been there and played pretty well. Zach Gallen, guy that's been around, maybe not in the playoffs, but I think they've helped their team a lot by making it to the playoffs. I don't know if they've got the experience to make a run, especially at the Dodgers, but so far so good for them in that series. So
yeah, I texted you guys Diamondbacks, and then I go, no, wait, Dodgers. Should have stuck with the first choice, it seems like so far. But I think to your point, like the Dodgers got that experience. They've got 2 of the best players in the MLB, in Freeman and Mookie. I see them making a series of it. Again, I know down 1 game, currently down 3-0 right now, but you just can't ever count the Dodgers out. I think they've proven that. But mainly, I think I'm making this pick for my boy Cody. Cody, so if you're continuing listening, this is for you, and hopefully the Dodgers prove us right and win this series.
And write us a review.
And write us a review, Cody. You're a teacher. You know how to do that.
We'll start calling out specific people.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Dodgers have so far got their 2 starts have got them 2 innings, and they've given up, I believe, 9 runs. So that's they don't have a lot of time to get that better, but that's got to get better, right? You got to think like who's going game 3? He's going to give them 3 innings and only give up 6. And I had the Dodgers picked as well. They've just been, all they do is win. They got 200 wins, didn't they? The other NL team that did
Yes, they
so.
did.
So yeah, I found it surprising that they're really getting their butt whooped. But I guess we'll see what happens. The D-backs would definitely be the underdog, both from
Mhm.
amount of wins, and their payroll is 119, and the Dodgers is 240, 130
Woof.
million. I mean, what's that, like 6 star players? Ridiculous. But so I guess from that aspect, I kind of hope Arizona wins, and I picked them in our World Series snake draft. But logically, I went with the Dodgers when we were doing our picks, but doesn't look too smart right now. So only one of us has looked pretty smart in this series so far. And speaking
What
about
timing.
timing, he
Looking
is
smart.
back.
What?
Talk
Where
about
we
the
at?
What do you think
Diamondbacks.
about this NL West matchup?
Dude, I'm loving it so far. What's the score right now? Anybody been checking?
3-0 still.
3-0.
Top 4.
Yeah, I mean it's the same story with the Dodgers. They very top heavy. And now if Kershaw is postseason Kershaw, 1 year older, it's looking like a Diamondback upset going to happen. They're fun to watch, man. So I'm liking that pick. Definitely sticking with the Diamondbacks.
That's great timing, by the way.
No, it was impeccable timing.
We really pulled
That's
that
great.
out. Yeah. We riffed about t-shirts for about 5 minutes. Anyway, our last series that we're going to talk about is the Phillies at Braves, an NL East matchup. It's kind of interesting that the National League. It's no surprise that there's no Central teams left, but it matches up to where you have an East matchup and a West matchup. I've liked the Phillies all year. I thought Trey Turner's going to go back to his WBC heroics. He hasn't done so yet, but there's still a chance. Harper does Harper things. What are you gonna show me? Okay, yeah, they won the World Series 2 years ago. That's cool. But again, regular season doesn't mean anything once you get here. The Braves could be the best team in the world in the regular season, which they were, and then it looked like they were awfully close to going down 2-0. But playing baseball in Philadelphia in October also just seems bananas. Like if you want to talk about the Twins fans showing up, it just seems like Philadelphia has to be even more impressive than that based on what I've seen and heard. So I would not even tied in the series. I wouldn't want to be going into Philadelphia and having to win even one of those games. But so I got the Phillies. Quite a surprise here, honestly, from the group as far as what the predictions were, other than the one person who was obvious. But
Yeah,
Jared, what do you got?
Can't believe Joe took that team. Anyway, obviously, I don't think I've been on the train as long as you, Corey, but I did a few stops down the road. I got on that train.
Welcome
Mainly
aboard.
for, yeah, thanks. Mainly for, Bryce Harper. Even Cooney, maybe the biggest Braves fan I know, has admitted that he's very, very fun to watch. Even being in a Philadelphia Philly jersey. But I've talked to some other people who I know that are Braves fans and kind of the area that I live and whatnot. And I've made a case in point, like I think this is the series. Whoever comes out of this, I think wins the whole thing. It's an awesome matchup. It's obviously a rivalry, but I think it's probably the two best teams in the playoffs, just on paper right now, and the way that they're playing. And to get to Corey's point, um, Philadelphia is electric. I think the coolest thing I saw was I watched the first game of the wild card of that one, and it was just a one pitch, and you could have the way the crowd was reacting. It was like the last pitch to end the game. Like it was just insanely loud. So I think I gotta go with Philly for that reasoning. So we'll see what happens.
So I can't believe nobody's talked about this yet. I had it on my mind to talk about, and I forgot about it, and then I just remembered it. So in my own competitive career, which some people have described as illustrious, both athletically, esports, that's a thing now. I mean, that wasn't cool in 99, but now it is. But where I'm going with this,
I've seen you play Madden. I'm good.
Where I'm going with this is no matter what I've done, if it's something competitive, if I'm playing a game, win or lose, what I want to do immediately thereafter is play the next game. So with all these 1 and 2 seeds, maybe not so much Houston because they're tied 1-1 and Atlanta 1-1. But pulled that victory out of the jaws of defeat. There's a few different terms for it, ring rust, or there's something to be said about taking 5-6 days off from playing, and you scratch the surface and you think, oh, we're getting rest, we're going to heal up, our pitchers will be fresh. It doesn't feel like that. I don't know if Corey has any stats or anybody has any stats on this of like wild card teams getting hot, staying hot, and then they go into that next round and the higher seed is flat. And I think we've saw that this year. And again, it feels like we see that with at least 1 or 2 teams every year. But getting back to Philly and Atlanta, I did pick Philly. I like their top 2 starters. I like enough of their lineup. I guess Atlanta leads in like every category known to man, it's pitching and hitting. So might have been kind of a homer pick, but yeah, I don't know. I'll see what you guys maybe think about that. Rusty teams, and then Cooney, we know who you picked, but you can tell us why.
Cooney, your pick doesn't matter.
I was kind of alluding to that conversation. I figured we would have a bigger conversation after the playoffs because it definitely looked like something the first 6 innings today. The Dodgers have been flat, Braves have been flat, Orioles have lost 2. And so I was ready to really have the conversation if the Braves lost today. So now I figured I'd wait and see how the series actually turned out. Were they rusty? All 4 of them lost game 1. Yes. You play 162 games in 180 days, and then you play 2 games in 9 days when it matters. And so it is weird. So that's why I think it's going to change again with the expansion. I think you'll see another wild card come in, and I think you'll see 8 teams in each side, and I think you'll see 4 division winners, 4 divisions at that point. So I think we'll talk more about that in the offseason. But yeah, it's definitely scary. But yeah, I picked the Braves, of course.
The wild card has been around since 1995, so that's 28 years. 7 times a wild card team has won the World Series, which is 25%. Which, when you think of, previously to the last 3 years, there was 3 division winners and a wild card team in each league. So that is a pretty high percentage, I would think, in the grand scheme of things. Although I mean, it is 25% of the teams are wild card teams. I don't know exactly how that works out. So maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. But it does seem like
bigger conversation in the
lot.
offseason, but we have time to really digest it because you got one wild card and 95 on, and then you got
Yeah.
2 wild cards, which was what, 2010 when they had the second wild card.
2012. Yeah.
12 Braves Cardinals. We won't talk about that. And then you've got 3 wild cards the last couple years.
It's what is happening with the
I
hand
did not go on.
signals?
So, and as far as to your point on the Phillies fans, I can't wait for it to be in Philly either. It's a great atmosphere. I think the Braves fans have stepped it up in the new stadium, but then they decide to throw beer cans and trash anytime a call doesn't go their way. It's just so annoying.
Yeah. Gross. Braves
But you know,
fans.
in the 90s, Phillies fans threw batteries at people, so they don't get a pass for it. Braves have just done it more recently. They
Well,
pelted JD Drew the first time he
Oof.
came back because he didn't want to play for the Phillies.
No, it's not a good look for anybody.
Yeah,
it
so
sucks
both fan bases are passionate. I do give the edge to the Phillies right now, but the Braves fans the last couple of years have really supported this young team, and because in the 90s, playoff games were boring. Watching them, you could just tell the stadium was just
Batteries are
anybody-
expensive. I wish people would
That's
throw them at
true.
me. I'd keep.
No, just give me 15 seconds on this. I haven't actually watched any of the games, which is great job me now talking about a baseball podcast.
You got stuff going on.
Have you felt like the pitch clock has negatively affected your playoff game viewing?
Oh, viewing of
No.
it? Not at all.
I mean, like,
no.
do you think that there's not as much drama, or like, because I do feel like there were some moments in the playoffs where like the drama did build up for sometimes it felt like minutes in between pitches, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing in the playoffs. Obviously, when you're in game 124 of a game 162 of a 162 game season, like you need to just get through that game, but like things are a little bit more intense. I didn't know if we were losing, if anybody felt like we were losing that intensity at this point, albeit we are only in the DS.
I haven't noticed it. I think you stay like tonight was a bullpen game. Phillies
Mhm.
bringing in every matchup lefty they had, which I think they're carrying 5 lefties in their bullpen right now for this series. So like every time Olsen came up after Wheeler got pulled, there's a new lefty. And so there's a lot of pitching changes. So the game still probably took close to 3 hours, but the moments themselves, it's high intensity. Here comes the next pitch. I think you don't seem to notice it. Yeah.
Cool. It's good then.
I'd be interested in seeing like what the total runs scored is compared to previous postseasons.
Yeah.
So I think
we
maybe
can-
some of the drama that's taken out of 5 minutes in between a pitch when the crowd's going crazy is replaced by more batters on the base pass or more offense with some of those pitching changes that they implemented this year.
I'll write down to give you those numbers when in the off season. We'll take a look at
There we go.
total
Yeah,
runs
we'll
and
evaluate.
post seasons. All right. Do we need to recap our predictions real quick, and then we can? We just talked about them, but Rangers at Orioles. I had the Rangers. The other 3 had the Orioles. Twins at Astros. Jared had the Twins. The other 3 had the Astros. We were 3-1 on all of these. D-backs at Dodgers. Aaron had the D-backs. The other 3 had the Dodgers. Phillies at Braves. Everyone but Aaron had the Phillies, and then Aaron had the other team.
Sweet.
Whoever that is.
And we discussed the each series a little bit since they've already been going on. But does anybody else have anything else to add? High level thoughts about the DS? Any other teams you want to talk about?
Any other teams?
Any other game? I mean, any other thoughts on the teams?
Let's
I'd
talk
like
about
to
the
bring up
Athletics.
the Guardians.
Shut up.
Oh,
I
Sorry,
would, I started the pod off with throwing the high stinky cheddar. I was watching a little bit of the Braves game while I was at the gym, and just a riding
Brag about
fastball
it.
at like 97 was getting the job done. You throw strikes, you don't walk people. I think those are the teams that are going to win. Do I have any stats to prove that? No.
Yeah, Wheeler was
Don't
locked
need 'em.
in. Threw a hanging slider to Darno that got the momentum shifted. But other than that, he was filthy.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any like other high level thoughts. I'm excited to see where these series go. I hope it can stay competitive. Just seems like it will for most of the series, but I mean, again, I think all my eyes are pretty much glued to that Braves Philly series.
Don't worry, they got tomorrow off.
Can't wait.
I think tomorrow's travel day.
Yeah,
I would assume so.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's just AL teams again tomorrow.
Yep.
Wheeler's four seamer is about league average as far as vertical movement, so it's nothing they haven't
A
seen
lot of it
before.
was the placement. He kept it at the top of the zone. Freed was struggling.
Gotcha.
His fastball kept going lower in the zone, and they were hitting it like crazy. But Wheeler was peppering the top half of the zone.
Cool.
So, yeah, what do we got?
Need to put Jay Lee in that batter's box to high heat. See what he does with it.
Yeah,
Go
send
get
it
it.
up. I'll swing at it every time, baby.
We've got AL only tomorrow, Tuesday, and then we've got all four series on Wednesday, as needed.
And then NL
Um,
Thursday.
Yep, and the NL Thursday, and then there would be AL games 5 if needed Friday, and NL games 5 if needed Saturday.
So at least there's going to be baseball every day till it's over with. Until the World Series, I guess. It'll be travel days World Series. It was weird having 2 days off between the wild card and the DS because everybody finished before the game 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which
All right, is there
there
anything-
could be if nobody gets into game 5s,
Yeah,
a similar thing, but
yeah, that's true.
there'll be a game 5 probably. I hope so. Game 5, like elimination games for both teams, just more exciting.
Are the best.
Game 5 Braves Phillies would be Freed Wheeler again too, which would be crazy.
And you
That'd be a
know the
great game
MLB
5.
wants it. That's more money,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. So that'd be a great game 5. I don't want it to go that far because that scares me. But winning 2 in Philly with Nola starting one of them is also scary. All righty. Any other thoughts, guys, as we close out this
Oh,
division series round? Yeah.
I do. Guys, I got news that we got listeners all the way over in the great state of Alabama.
Oh, Alabama. Hey, Alabama.
Roll
This
Tide.
is a shout out to some of my favorite people, the Cordy clan, baby. So Adam, Allie, Addison, Jack, Wyatt, Maddox, the whole squad.
Plays some Fortnite with those beats.
guys. Yeah, Fortnite, Call of Duty, you name it. Great people.
Oh,
Thank you guys for
yeah.
listening. And guys, dude, that Wyatt kid, I'll send you some videos. That dude can play some baseball.
Maybe we'll be talking
So
about
nice.
him in season 10 of Rake Position.
That'd
There
be
you go.
awesome. But hey, thanks for listening, guys. Much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. Sweet. Anything else, guys?
JD Martinez, homer, 3-1, Arizona.
3-1. All right.
Rolls out.
Arizona's hanging in there. All right. Well, until next time, guys, don't forget to
Rake.
Rake,
Ray,
your position.
It's getting worse.
position.
It's getting
Break
worse.
the position that you were assigned. Go Space City Astros.
Is the Marstars home city not called Space City?
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain. Space Mountain.